Speaker is Oluwaseun Praise Adefusi. Yeah, Oluwaseun Praise Adefusi is a recent graduate of accounting of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ife, Nigeria. She holds multiple chartered accountancy certifications, God, locally with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, finishing as a three-time prize winner, having received five prizes over the course of her exams, and internationally, sorry, let me read it well, and internationally with the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, ACCA. During her days as an undergraduate, she served as the Director of Research too of the Tax Club, OAU, and the team lead of the NWASA OAU quiz team. She also facilitated ICANN tutorials on campus with one of the best ICANN tutorial centers in OAU. She has participated in several competitions, of which the most recent is emerging the winner of the annual National Tax Quiz Competition 2024 by the Chartered Institute, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN. She was privileged to have enjoyed multiple internship positions during her time as an undergraduate. This includes with SIAO Partners, Asset Resource Management (ARM), and recently with the Bank of America London. Oluwaseun graduated in December 2024 with a 4.95 CGPA as the BGS of the Department of Management and Accounting and the Faculty of Administration, with five additional awards to the before mentioned. While Oluwaseun believes that preparedness makes opportunities worthwhile, the God factor has been a major part of her existence and achievement, as she has enjoyed and is still enjoying multiple graces from of God in her life's journey. Can we jam our hands together? Can we jam our hands together? I want to see your reaction as I welcome Sheon to speak to us. Wow. What I'm just looking at is it the same 4 years of study, or maybe she did like three undergrad in one? But I'm sure everyone is ready to find out and know how she did that. So thank you so much. Please pay attention, pick up your book. This today is fire, so just pick up your book and let's learn. So you're welcome, Sheon.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hi.
Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Alaikum. And I want to say thank you so much for having me here. And also thank you so much to everyone that's joined so far. And yeah, so of course I'm definitely happy and glad to be here. This is my very first speaking engagement for year 2025. So I'm excited about it. So just like they already said, my name is Oluwaseun Praise Adefusi, a recent graduate of the Obafemi Awolowo University from Department of Accounting. And briefly, I'm just going to be sharing with you what can be termed secret to the top 1%, just like the topic of today's webinar says. Okay, once again, I'm excited to be here. And I think I'm going to start by just paying, laying emphasis on the earlier points that have been raised by Rafael Badikale. And it's so funny because most of the things he mentioned are things I already have written down as the things I want to point out. So like when it was mentioned in my head, I'm like, did you take a sneak peek into my notes or what? Because like it's almost every single thing he has said that I'm also going to be laying emphasis on, plus some other additional points. And by the grace of God, at the end of this particular webinar, I hope that at least one or two things that we have all said tonight would definitely be a light to you listeners' career journey and academic journey. Okay, so I think I'm going to love to start with the God factor you mentioned. And when you started with it, I'm like, no, stop it. So the God factor is really important, and I know he laid emphasis on some things like praying about your health, praying about some other things surrounding your life personally. But I think I also want to lay emphasis on some other things that are specifically related to exams itself or like your academic journey. And one of those things I would say is praying for your exams itself. Now, this is beyond just praying that, oh, what I read, please God help me remember or something. It's more like praying about situations and circumstances that will surround your exams, surround how your exams will be marked, your scripts will be marked and assessed, surrounding how you're going to sit for your exams, the people you sit with. Like, this is very important. So before I continue, I think I'm just going to share like 2-3 examples targeted towards like committing your examination to God. This was supposed to be like my last point, but I just started to start with it since Rafi already mentioned it. And I'll share an example of myself personally and one of my classmates that I know of. Now, this is why I'm laying emphasis on the fact that involving God in your academic journey, in your life, even generally, is very important. So there was this particular exams I wrote, business law. Now, when I'm praying for my exams, I don't just pray about God remind me alone. I pray like, God, people I'm going to be sitting with, please don't let them put me in trouble. The lecturers that will come to supervise, please God, don't let them just play some evil eyes on me or something. And in the course of my script being marked, God, I pray for favor, right? Now, an example from this is when I was sitting one of my exams, business law specifically, this was in my third year. I remember that there was this friend of mine that needed help. Normally, I like to sit in front of the whatever all I'm sitting in during exams, so I don't have to like be distracted by anybody, right? So I was sitting in front, not like front totally, like maybe some 3 seats to the front, and then she needed help, and so I was helping and all of that. And then the course coordinator himself caught us. More like caught me because I was the only one that was penalized. And then he told me to stand up. And then next thing I stood up, I didn't know he said I should not write. So I kept on writing because business law, you accounting, you understand if you attended OAU, right? So, and then next thing he was like, oh, I should get out of his class that of his all. Like, why would I be writing while he told me to stand up and all of that? If not for God, what we're saying is not what we would have been saying, right? And then there was this lecturer that was just standing at the entrance to the hall, and he was one that just went ahead and then just pleaded my course. And the next thing allows me to sit down, and then I took the exam. Now, this is the same man that so many countless people, we had already sent countless people out of the hall, right? But then there was me going back to my exam seat, my seat, and then completing the entire exam. So that's one of the reasons why I feel like it's very important to involve God in your journey. And just like Rafi said, whether you're a Christian or you're a Muslim or whatever God that you believe in, right? Now, the second example I'd like to share is one of my classmates. In this our final year, we wrote particular exams, and something happened that he didn't see his results, and there were two of them. And then when they went to meet the lecturer, like, okay, what happened? And then he said, apparently, this my friend that I knew personally, he wrote his matric number, but apparently someone else also wrote the same matric number as him. And because of that, the lecturer said, okay, maybe they were like trying to cheat or something. And then he withheld their results. And this was like final year, last semester. And they would not release their names to go to the Senate. And it was like really terrible for a while because it was like some few days before our names had to go to the Senate that he was able to have the whole issue resolved and all. So that's why I say the God factor is very, very important in addition to everything they are going to be doing in your academic journey. Now, second thing that Rafael laid emphasis on that I would also like to also speak about was, he mentioned how he spoke to he had a mentor that I would normally go to. Now, that's the same thing as me. And I'm just going to speak on that by putting up my own points I thought to say, which is the fact that you need to understand your lecturers while preparing for your exams, while starting every semester or every session. It's important that you really understand your lecturers. Now, the reason for this is because every lecturer has their own particular style of teaching. They have their own style of asking questions during exams. They have their own style of even grading those questions. I mean, they prepared the questions themselves, right? So there will definitely be the same set of people that would provide the marking guide and then mark the what's called the questions and the answers that you've provided. So in understanding your lecturers, there are two different things I know that you can do to better understand them and understand what they expect of you. Now, the first thing is the fact that you need to have one person that you look forward to, or you look up to in every semester or every session, right? Now, for me, I got into school in my second year, and I had like plenty of my friends and senior colleagues that were ahead of me. Like, when I got into school in my second year, I probably had like one or two friends in my class who were like my friends. Every other friends I had were either in their third year at that point in time or their fourth year. And so at the start of every semester or start of every session, just like Rafiu said, his was like the semester prior to the new semester. For me, it was like maybe the start of a new semester when we're starting. I'm going to them and then I'm asking them, okay, there's this person, there's this lecturer that we are taking their course, this lecturer, that lecturer. What do you expect me to do concerning them? And then they are telling you, okay, for this lecturer, you have to pay attention to maybe their assignments or the project work or maybe attending classes, and then they're telling you, oh, this lecturer expects you to write like the same thing that he taught you in class in your questions when you're being asked in the exams. And this person is telling you that, oh, for this lecturer, he expects you to write a lot of notes. Don't just give him 5-line answers or 1 page or something. Write plenty of pages. Again, this is an example for this same business law exam I wrote. And last time I checked, this same person I told you that I would normally go to he was on the call. Okay, still on the call. Hi, Olamdegiwa, I'm saying hi. So this is one of my senior colleagues that, of course, was my friend that I would normally go to at the start of each of the semester. And then I'll go and ask him, well, okay, this person is taking us, so what do you think I should do? And I remember for business law, like I said, I went to him and then he told me that, okay, there are 2 lecturers, right? One of this lecturer, he's going to like expect you to write tons of notes and then just like copy the same thing he told you and then quote plenty of examples and plenty of laws and acts and all of that, right? And then that's all you need for exam. And to the glory of God, it was really funny because in my class in accounting alone, we were over 400, and then in business admission we were over maybe like 100 or something. And by the time the result for business law was going to be released, we only had 7 A's out of over 500 persons that took their exams. And by the grace of God, of course, I was one of those people that had A's, right? Now, trust me, at the end of the exams, people are going there and they're saying that, I finished the exam, it was so good, I wrote everything. But then they really did not know what the lecturers were looking out for, which was, of course, it's not just enough that you know what they are doing. You have to like write notes. Like it's through the pages and pages and pages that you write that is going to help you understand or help the lecturer know that, okay, you've written enough, right? So this is why it's very important to like understand your lecturer, right? Now, another thing again is the second thing I would say, other than having like a senior colleague or a senior person ahead of you that you can ask questions from, is make sure that you attend classes. Like attending classes can never be overemphasized, right? For me personally, like as I was kind of person that when I got into school, people did not expect that I would attend classes because before I got in school, I was already chartered. I'd completed all the exams of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria exams as I can. So people automatically expected that I should not attend classes, right? But like I made sure that I attended classes. And I also cite an example as to why attending classes are like really, really good. Now there was this, I think it was also in part 3. I don't know if it was statistics or econometrics. But I remember that in that class, the lecturer told us that whenever we're writing answers to his questions, it's very important that we include, when we are rounding off our figures, we must do it up to 4 decimal places. And so if it's less than or greater than 4 decimal places, it definitely will be marking the answers wrong. Now, trust me, if you did not attend that class, you probably would not know, because even if you collected your friend's notes to just like bring yourself up to speed about what was taught in that class, trust me, no students will go the extra mile to write in there. I know that, okay, lecturer said we should write to 4 decimal places. Of course, people might. I mean, someone like me, I could write it in my notes, right? But not everybody would. And in that kind of situation, imagine you're going to the exam hall and then you're answering all your questions that are computational, and then you are including it as more than 4 decimal places, right? And then you're finishing the exam and thinking, oh yeah, that was perfect. I mean, this is an A course, definitely. And then result comes out, and then you see what you are getting, and then you're like, oh no, what happened? I did better than this, right? So that's the second thing I would also like to say. So the first point I raised, just like a summary again, is it's important that you understand your lecturers and what they expect of you. You see some lecturers that will tell you that maybe at the start of their class, like, okay, 20% will be for tests, 10% for assignments, 10% for projects, 60% for exams. Now, it's important that you know the importance of the grading system of each of these lecturers. And some might even say that, oh, you have to attend classes and I'll take attendance. And if you miss any of this attendance, you're going to be penalized for it, right? So understanding your lecturers is really key. And how you can understand your lecturer is by having a senior colleague ahead of you that are asking questions, whether they are 2 years ahead of you, 1 year ahead of you. And the second thing is make sure you attend your classes. Like, do not skip classes, right? That's the first thing I'm going to, or let me say second thing I'm going to, in addition to what Rafiu said. Now, the second thing I would also like to say is it's also very important that you understand the contents of your syllabus every semester. Like, it's very important. Now, the reason why this is important is because by knowing the content of your syllabus ahead of time, helps you to be able to put together the materials you are going to be needing to read. Because imagine that you're waking up to read in the middle of the night one day because you decided you wanted to read, and then you are trying to like read maybe a particular topic in a particular course, and you start looking for, okay, what material should I use? Okay, just like somebody said before, Rafiu took on the call again, person talked about how the course content in the slides, that they are so confusing, they are not well arranged, right? And then imagine you wake up to that kind of material to read. Like that is even going to be so discouraging at first. And then it's going to like you're just gonna like, I think I'm just going to go back to sleep. And then you're going back to sleep like we'll continue tomorrow or something, right? So like it's important that ahead of every semester you put together the materials that you'll be using for each of the course content in your syllabus. Now there's something that my school, let me say my department, what we do then, I don't know who started it, but yeah, I'm super grateful to whoever was that started it. We had this database, which of course is something that I think Quest Study is also doing for students right now, right? So we have this database where accounting students can log onto it and then get access to every material they might need for exams, for any of the courses, past questions, study text, additional resources, links to maybe YouTube videos and all of those things. It's very important that you source for your materials at the start of every of your semester. That's another thing that I would like to say. Then, in addition to this, of course, like your senior colleagues are people you can always go to for like materials, especially when the lecturer taking that particular course has not changed. Of course, they must have been the same person that teach your senior colleague. They have materials they've given them. They have like slides. They have Word documents. They have assignment solutions to assignments and all of those things. Consulting with your senior colleagues again help you to be able to like identify that okay, these are materials I need, right? Then also knowing the content of syllabus also helps you to like look ahead into what areas of your syllabus might pose a problem for you, right? For me personally, I also have an example from that. I think this was also in my third year. I think a lot of things happened to me in my third year actually. So in my third year, there was this course I was going to take. It was management accounting, and then there was this topic under the course that was learning curve. Now, that learning curve, I done it in I can trust me, I did not understand. I just went to write the exams. I'm not even sure I answered the question on learning curve in that exams, right? So when I knew was going to be part of it, I remember still going to give and telling him that, boss, they're going to tell me and help me with this learning curve thing, you know. And I was like, no, don't worry, you're going to be fine. And then he gave me a textbook, then I remember. And in addition to that as well, had gone online, sourced for YouTube videos that I know would be like very, very helpful. And of course, attending classes because the person that took the course he's like one of the best lecturers in school. So like it took the course like very well. But even ahead of time, I'd gotten YouTube videos, I'd gotten material. So when it was time for me to read and prepare for that particular exam, it was very easy for me because I had all the materials I needed to be able to effectively cover that content, right? So second thing is important to understand your course content. Then now I'm also going to go to the third point that I have written down, and this is the fact that you need to prepare your reading schedule or plan ahead of time. Now, if I believe you paid attention, but Raphael mentioned the fact that he would normally start reading into fourth week of the exams. I think that's also like me too. I don't trust me. I don't read before the semester. I don't read at the start of the semester, and of course, I do not read when it is so close to exams either. I start reading ahead of exams. So one thing that helps is being able to plan your time very well and plan your reading schedule, right? Now, if you're like me, I'm kind of person that while I was in school, I had a lot of additional activities that I had going on with me. That's beyond just classes. I mean, I took tutorials on campus. I was involved with a lot of school clubs, and then we had meetings regularly. And then at some point, I was like team lead of some of these or executive members of some of these clubs. And in addition to that, I had church activities, I had volunteer activities. Like there were a lot of things on my plate. So for if you're like me, it's important that you plan your time so well because you don't end up forgetting that you're a student and then exam comes like 2 weeks exams and you're thinking, okay, how do I start covering all of these things, right? So it's important that you plan your schedule in addition to every of the activities that you have going on, right? Because like I mean you could get caught up with so many activities during your time as a student that reading might be like the last thing that you're considering, like maybe 1 week to maybe lecture free week. I don't know if all schools have that, but in OU there's something we call lecture free week where a week to when the official school calendar for exam will start, that week there'll be no lectures at all. It's just going to be for you preparing for your exams, right? So like you want to make sure that you have started reading before that one, because trust me, if you're like me again, that 1 week will not suffice to cover your syllabus. Because for someone like me, I like to read over and over and over again before the exams come. Now, this is not because I have issues with grasping what is being taught like immediately, but my own problem is retention. So for me to be able to adequately retain whatever it is I've learned or studied, I must read more than once, like minimum of 2 times, right? So planning your schedule and your time during at the start of every semester helps you to be able to like put every of your activities into perspective in such a way that you don't ignore your academics for every other activities that you have going on with you on campus, right? Now the second thing I would say is that in preparing for your exams, you have to cover your syllabus. Now, if you also paid attention, right, Raphael mentioned the fact that his own reading style was to use study textbooks to study. Like he would cover like textbooks. I think he said he did this like up to second year or something. He covered like textbooks upon textbooks, right? That's also similar to someone like me. For me, I didn't practically use textbooks. I used more of, remember, I'm an icon student, and most of the courses I did as an undergraduate, I done some of these courses during my icon exam. So I had materials from my icon lectures that I kept with me that I would normally use to study. I had my school materials that I've gotten from maybe senior colleagues or gotten from the Google Drive I mentioned. So all of these materials, I make sure that I cover them to a very large extent. And in addition to any of these things or to all of these things, sometimes I use YouTube videos, very good YouTube videos I can find online. Sometimes I use some other or additional YouTube resources. I'm not so much of the textbook person that much, just for special situations like the learning curve that I mentioned. That's what I use like the textbooks for. So it's important that you cover your syllabus. I'm sure that you probably heard this over and over again, but like it's very important you do, especially when your lecturers are the kind of people that they stick to every syllabus that they've given you at the start of the semester. So it's important that you cover every single one of them based on whatever material the lecturer must have given you, based on any material you must have sourced that, of course, they're like important or relevant to your course of study or those topics that your lecturer must have highlighted at the start of the semester, right? It's very important. So far I've talked about three main points. Number one is understanding your lecturer. Number two is understanding the content of your syllabus. And number three is planning your schedule or like preparing like your plans to ensure that it accommodates all of your activities, including your reading time, right? And of course, under that, we talked about covering your syllabus from time to time. Now, in addition to that, I'll talk about preparing for tests. Now, for your test, it's also important that you prepare for your test like you're preparing for exams. Like I know people will be like, oh, test is just test. Exams are like more important, right? But like the moment you can ace your test so well that maybe out of 40 marks that has been allocated to your test or 30, you're already having like maybe 25 over 30 or 30 something over 40 waiting for you, then trust me, exams will be very easy for you to like cover ground. Imagine that for OAU now, your A starts from 70%, right? And for someone like me, I focused on ensuring that I was good in all of my courses, not just exceptional in just a single one, right? So that at least by the end of the day, you're having a good CGPA that makes you to be like qualified as an overall best graduate student by the grace of God, right? So like it's important that you do so well in your test because just like I said, imagine you already have like 35 over 40 in your test, and then you need an A, and A starts from 70. It means you only need about 35 more from your exam that has been graded 60 to get into an A grade, right? Like that becomes easier for you to attain than you getting about 20 over 40 in your test and then having to cover up with 50 over 60 in your exams. So it's very important that you prepare for your test the same way you prepare for your exams. Now, last but not the least, like I would say here is the importance of past questions. Now, just like I'd earlier mentioned, that it's important for you to like speak to your senior colleagues, have them explain to you things to expect from lecturers and all of that. Past questions also give you like an idea of trends that you could follow. Now, the only reason that past question will not really work in terms of identifying trends is if maybe they change the lecturer taking a particular course, right? So, like with past questions, you can see that okay, from this year to this year, this was how they asked the question. Okay, this is what they expect you to be able to cover in the syllabus every single year. It gives you a very good example of what to prepare for ahead of your exams. And also, like, being able to put yourself under that exam condition where you're solving past questions to see how you would do if you had sat for these particular exams also helps you to be able to know those areas you still need to work on before the day of your exams. Okay, with me. Okay, so I'm just going to round off with this. So just like a summary of everything I've said, understand your lecturers so well to know how they'll be asking questions and things to expect. Understand the content of your syllabus for each semester very well. Then plan and prepare your schedule. Then prepare for your test as if you're preparing for your exams. And finally, don't forget to like practice your past questions. And of course, most importantly, put all of these things into God's hands that is going to help you and see you through and favor you in sight of all of your lecturers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Please, I want to see your reactions. I want to see jam hands together for her. I want to see reactions. I want to see the clap. I want to see the just keep commenting in the chat box. Tell us one thing that stood out for you. One thing that you really learned from this meeting and or from this session and you are going to apply to your studies. If you're in year one, I think you have the best opportunity, just make sure you note that down, note that down, note that down. Thank you so much, Seun. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. We appreciate it so much. Yeah, so I'm sure you have had like an amazing one so far, like on this call. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot. I wish I was in year one, but no regret. No regret. I wish I was in year one. Thank you so much, Rafiu. Thank you so much, Sheon. And yeah, the next section now is the question and answers. We have some questions here, and so I think first person that so I ask a question, Rafiu goes. I ask another question, Sheon goes. So that's how we do it. So the first question and also we have some questions in the chat box. We are going to attend to that. So thank you so much. Yeah. So the first question to Rafiu is, let us make it quick in just like a minute or two for each question. What does a typical study session look like for you? So like it has always been something that like people want to know. How do you like okay, it's time to study. Like put it like make it real for us. It's time to study. How does it look like for you? Like how does it look like a typical study session?
Yeah, thank you for that. So, as I've said earlier, I have like two periods. So the consumption period and then the digestion period. So
Wow.
the consumption, yeah. So because I just try to like go through, like even if it's like the slide of like 200 and something pages, I just scroll from like the first page to the last page. So I'll make sure I finish the slides during that period. So then for the digestion period, then I try to like relate it to information I got from my mentor, the classes, maybe past questions that I've viewed or the other like. So I try to like, oh, these are the important infos or where I'm supposed to focus on. So that would be like my digestion period. So then I don't even know how to define this period, but that is now the period that I try to summarize everything I've learned in my own words. So I used to do that like maybe 3 days after, just to like know that I have them in me. So I don't do it like almost immediately after the digestion period. I do it like 3 days, sometimes a week later, but that's just so yeah, that's typically my study session. That's how, yeah.